So we're going to be covering two demos for this first impressions video, one for Yoshi's Crafted World and one for Daemon Ex Machina. Both games are polar opposites of each other in looks, gameplay, mechanics, and a whole number of things. So here's the first and probably only ever demo double feature. Let's start with the green dinosaur. My very first thoughts when Yoshi's Crafted World was announced were,
oh, it's beautiful.
And
This is
What?
This is boring.
I've never really enjoyed any Yoshi games aside from Yoshi Touch and Go, so I wasn't super intrigued in the first place. I gave the demo a try anyways, and I really don't have a whole lot to say. The entire demo takes place in one single level. You play through normally first, and then the gimmick of the game is introduced. The whole map flips, and you go back through looking for the little Yoshi dog dudes while trying to get the best time that you can. And then, once again, you play back through the stage forwards again, looking for some cows in the background as per requested by this crafty boy over here. It kind of felt like an I Spy game and was an interesting way to get more out of a single level, but overall it just wasn't that fun, honestly. The game looks great, and you can tell they spent a lot of time designing the world, but overall it was just kind of lackluster. I could definitely see younger kids loving this game, and I really think that's who it's for, but hey, not all Nintendo games are for me. I think it would be a great game to play alongside a younger sibling or a niece or nephew to introduce them into the gaming world. A nice touch was the loading screen art flipping depending on if you were running through the stage on the flip side or not, and there was lots of little secrets to shoot eggs at in the distance that you could easily miss on the first run through, so there was a bit of incentive to backtrack through the flip side on each level. Flipping the stage is a smart idea on Nintendo's part to get the most out of these levels that they spend so much time designing. But yeah, that's really all I gotta say. The demo was pretty looking and pretty short, and Yoshi fans will probably like it, but I don't think this is a good jumping point for anyone who hasn't played a Yoshi game before. So, moving on to Daemon Ex Machina. The first trailers of this game presented us with a neat looking mech game with a pretty unique color palette. The style of this game is pretty unique to anything I've ever seen, but at times things can look a little muddy and it almost looks like they pulled the contrast down a little bit too much. Things are just a little dark at times. There's also a lot going on at times, sometimes in the menus, and there's just a lot to look at. It gets a little bit crowded at times. There's some character creation right off the bat, which I did not expect, and I'm always partial to games that let you design your own character. So from what I understand of the story is you're a pilot that woke up from some sort of transplant surgery, and your job is to pilot some cool-ass robots and fight immortals that came into being after the moon crashed into the Earth. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on, but I do know that zipping around in your mech feels pretty good. It does feel a bit slow at times, but as you progress, I'm sure you'll get better movement options and upgrades to make things even smoother. At first they had the boost button set to Y, and you'd have to stop moving the camera to boost, but I switched the L button, which is used to fire off rockets and weapons and the like, with the Y button so that I could boost with L and use Y for my rockets. It felt way better and made the movement more fluid and fun. I could actually turn the camera and look while boosting and controlling where my robot was going. They have fully customizable controls and 3 preset options right off the bat, which is fantastic. The game is also fully voiced and the voices are pretty good. The writing's a little odd at times, like this scene where this lady verbalizes everything she's doing while hacking into a mainframe.
Over counter. First barrier cleared. Infiltrating worm code. Data key decrypted. Bypassing the source barrier. An interesting barrier. Reversing arsenal key to default settings. Copying orbital master code. Initiating modifier range. Bingo. The order to destroy this facility came from Horizon.
And this guy's just a little bit of a prude.
A book's binding bears the feelings of those who have touched it.
But full voice definitely helps the characters and story come to life. The robot customization is where it's at. There's a lot of options here. You can change just about every limb on your robot, paint it different colors, choose different weapons. It's awesome, and I can see myself going crazy with making some super cool looking robots. As you're out on missions, you can also pick up scrap pieces from other downed robots that you can use in your arsenal later on. There's also 4 platforms in the little hub area, so it seems like you'll be able to have at least 4 different robots at a time. Speaking of this hub area, there literally wasn't anything to do other than access the control panel and climb up a little ladder and jump off towards your robot. At least in the demo, so I didn't really see a huge point to having a hub area other than being able to look at your robot and do this ridiculous turn animation while running around. But whatever, it's a minor little thing. A hub area I think is better than just having a menu screen, even if there's nothing really to do in it. One thing that struck me as odd was the frame rate or whatever animation techniques they had going on. I didn't notice it at all in the first mission, but the frame rate seemed to go down during the second mission. I'm not sure if it was just because there's so many enemies on screen at a time or not. but it was only during big battles and wasn't an issue during any of the bosses. Speaking of bosses, they're pretty fun. The main goal is just to find and shoot the weak points. I didn't realize this at first and was shooting the thing forever until I realized I had to shoot specific spots to do more damage. And with this big crabby boy, I didn't even realize that it had weak points underneath of it until it jumped over top of me while I was off trying to heal. I was constantly moving around to follow the weak points, boosting around the desert to grab ammo or heal. It was super fun. I did notice some sort of auto-dodge thing in the final battle. I think it came from the leg upgrade I did, and it kind of made moving around a bit frustrating since it decided itself when it wanted to dodge and in what direction. But once I realized what was happening, I was able to work with it. I'm not sure if this was just a perk of the specific legs that I attached to my robot or not, but I'm hoping that there's an actual physical button that you can press for dodges with different pieces of armor, or maybe in future versions of the game. Another thing I noticed is that the enemies would come out of nowhere, and I really had to make sure I was using my map to keep track of things, which I am terrible at when playing games. I had a really good time with it, and I'd definitely be interested to play a little bit more. It sounds like they're going to be taking a lot of feedback from the players of this demo into account, which is great, and they even mentioned that you can tweet at them any feedback, and they'll take it into account. So it's cool to see that the team behind Daemon Ex Machina really wants to make this game the best it can be. So, what do you think of these games? Have you tried these demos at all? Let's chat in the comments, and I will see you guys next time. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.